What's up, guys, and welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K. Ray Knight, here to give you the proper diagnosis and prognosis for everything comics and comic book characters. And today we got the third issue for Plastic Death and Dolls out, so let's talk about it. So as discussed previously, we have Edwyn, who does not like when people are rude to other people, and he goes about this by chopping people's heads off, putting them in baggies, and labeling them as he remembers. And what we also should remember from the last time was how he was brought up with his mother, and how she had like an entire room full of those like collectible dolls, and his punishment would be to like help her clean them, and he gave names for them so that he could it would help him remember which one was which. So he has carried that over into this, and we were also trying to figure out what made him become a serial killer. How did we get from point A to point D without, going to point B, C, and B and C first? So we get a little glimpse into that in this issue, and I'm actually really excited. So, at the end of the last one, we had a girl had come into the diner, and Booker was kind of like flirting with her a little bit, and she was very clearly hungry, and he helped her get some food. Now, there were some people who came in, started a bunch of ruckus, and Edwyn was sticking up for her, essentially. And the guy has a gun, and he's like, you're doing all this for like $1.37 or $1.38 or something like that. And it's like, actually, no, you're doing all of that for $1.38. So that girl is hungry. Booker's mother, who owns that diner, comes in and is just like, everybody chill the fuck out. Y'all get the hell out, and we're going to keep her here because she's hungry. And obviously something is going on where y'all don't need to have her in your possession anymore. So, something happens with one of the girls as that group of people is leaving. He ends up calling her mixed fruit. She has some fruit in a cup, some mixed fruit in a cup, and she like dumps it on the table, I think. And so that one, I don't really understand what was happening with that one, but she ends up getting killed later. I'm not really sure where she came from, but anyway, I digress. So Edwyn is having a time, and the group of people that was just in the restaurant is reading through the paper, and they see the guy who Edwyn had killed earlier that he had named Cat Soccer. The head was found and everything like that. And so we also know that Edwyn has his mother's skull in his fridge, and he has had his mother's skull for quite some time, and he talks to her as if she's still around. So it's very clear that he's clearly off his fucking rocker. So while he is at home, the only one that he has in his fridge at that time is his mother while he's at home, and he's cleaning his saw, and the FBI stops by to have a little chat, and they are very suspicious of Edwyn. They are already pretty sure that Edwyn is the person that they are looking for, right? And they're having this conversation with Edwyn, and he's just like, can I admit something to you guys? And they're like, yes, admit to us. And he's like, I can't believe that someone would just throw these bodies away. Why are you just throwing the bodies away with no head? Why would you do that? And it's like he's critiquing his own work, because he's the one throwing the bodies away with no head. And he's like, I just can't believe somebody would do that. Oh, gasp. How could they? And the FBI is just like, so what would you do? What do you think? He's like, to be perfectly honest, I would do things so much differently. It's almost as if we are... It's like he's basically confessing without confessing, but it's like you can't even really take him at his word for real, because y'all have no idea what's going on, and he obviously sounds crazy. He even says something I can't remember if the FBI said something, or I think the FBI did say something about the heads, and he was like, actually, I would keep my heads in the freezer. Would you? Would you now? Where your mother's head is. So I do believe the FBI kind of just leaves, because it skips over to where he's actually talking to Booker, and then we kind of just go into like the flashback. So in the flashback, so remember last time I said I think that the boyfriend of his mom is actually his first real kill. Okay, so that is what I'm thinking, and this just fuels my thought process at this point. So he finds the handsaw outside, and he comes inside, and he is beaming, smiling ear to ear. He's like super excited that he found this thing, and his mom is just like, I really don't think you should be playing with that. And the boyfriend is just like, actually, you should play with that. You should go outside and play with that for hours. He's like, why don't you go get us some firewood? He's like, but you can't play with it unless you promise your mom and me that you're not going to hurt yourself. And he's just like, I promise I'm not going to hurt myself. And the mother is very clearly, as she should be, worried that something could happen with him playing with a fucking handsaw. And he's just like, I promise, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, why don't you go outside and chop us up some firewood? Because we can't have like s'mores and hot dogs and shit without like firewood. You know what I'm saying? So Edwyn goes outside and is cutting up a tree with this handsaw. And the boyfriend is trying to use his time to be intimate with his mom, but she is seriously trying to tell him no, because he is right outside. He's like, Edwyn is clueless. He has no idea what's going on, and he's not going to understand what we're doing or anything like that. Like, we can totally just do this right now and get it over with. And she's just like, no. And she keeps trying to tell him no, that she doesn't want to do anything like that while Edwyn is home. And this guy is just clearly not fucking getting it. And so, of course, we get the flashes of somebody who had put their gum or booger under the table. They get their head cut off. The girl who was mixed fruit, she gets her head cut off. And, someone previously in the other book named Biscuits, he got his head cut off. So we have 3 heads besides the mother in the fridge right now. And he's just, singing along to himself. But prior to showing all of them being in the fridge, he's talking to Booker. And he's trying to make sure that Booker is blind. He's like, you are like completely blind, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And he's like, you know how to look stuff up on the computer and whatnot. So I'm sure they're going to explain how that works. Excuse me. So he wants to trust Booker. And so he's talking to Booker about finding something that is really, really important to him, but he doesn't want Booker to see it because it could be really, really bad. On top of that, the girl that was from earlier is there, and she's eating, and Edwyn sees her, and he's like, what the hell? And Booker's mom is just like, don't worry about it, we need to watch over her. And Booker tries to explain to Edwyn that they could be using her for like prostitution or something like that, and like he doesn't want that to happen to her. And you can really, really just tell that Booker really is just really like looking out for this girl, because obviously he doesn't know her, but it does not cost a bunch of money or any money at all to be decent human beings. So that's kind of where Booker is leaning towards all of this. And Edwyn really does like Booker, so he's doing what he can to protect Edwyn and his mom. And Edwyn is doing what he can to protect Booker and his mom. So this is getting juicy. Mainly because now the FBI has shown up at this man's house. I don't think that they've searched for anything or anything like that. And he does not seem the least bit concerned with the fact that the FBI has shown up to his house. And I really actually don't know if he understands why the FBI has shown up to his house. And they really didn't do any explaining. He quite literally like invited them in and just started talking. So they didn't give him any explanation as to why they were there or anything like that. Other than the fact that they are looking into the string of murders. And he kind of just, was talking. It was like normal talking. And so I feel like he's going to end up getting himself out of this situation in the craziest way possible. And in the conversation that he has with the boyfriend of his mother in the past, she doesn't know, but he still had the dead bird in the lunchbox. And so he was like, you have to throw these things away. He's like, so we're going to throw this into the ocean. He's just like, why? Like, is he going to be okay? Like, things like that. And he's like, this is how you wash away like that evidence and wash away things that would make you look suspicious. So he's giving him the ideas. He's planting the ideas in his mind about how to get away with murder, even though that's not exactly what he's trying to say to him. These are the ideas that are implanted in him, and he takes it forward in being a serial killer. I think this story right now is beautifully written and it is so much fun right now. So I am really excited for the next issue. The next issue comes out next month, so I'm ready. I'm very, very ready for the next issue. This is getting real good, especially as it's getting closer to, like, and the building blocks are there. It's getting closer to him committing his actual first murder. So listen, but anyway, that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup.